As we start the new year, 2013, every one of us in this auditorium right now, in this sanctuary of God's house, we're looking for peace. I think everyone, if I would ask you, what would you want in your life? I think we would say peace. I need peace. I need love. I need just to know that Jesus is with me, that he guides me. He has everything we need. This song has the answer to what we're looking for. Now I want you to listen to the words and see if you don't hear the answer that this song has for each one of us today. Because I know that I need that peace in my life. Oh
morning, we are so happy to have with us a young man who comes to us from over in Mount Vernon area, and that came in the first service, and I think we'll be pleased to hear him with the message he has for us this morning. Would you give a warm Chester welcome to Brother Gary Showalter Jr. Gary
Can everybody hear me? I didn't need the microphone this morning, so I just checked to see if I needed it now. Got a funny story for you before we get started. We went down, me and my wife, we have a 4-month-old baby. We went downstairs for the fellowship before Sunday school started. Well, apparently he has learned to grab things. Grabbed my cup of orange juice, knocked it over all over the front of my suit here. But, good thing, the microphone was over here, so it didn't spill all over the microphone. So it was just funny. It's like, oh, I want some orange juice, and knocked it over. I found some verses to go with her song this morning. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Jesus Christ our Lord. Oh, I tell you what, that has me excited that nothing can separate me from His love. Just like nothing can separate my love for Him. Devil tries real hard. Now, let's get started. How many of you have ever made a New Year's resolution? Yeah, New Year. I had a problem with making one for my weight when I was a kid. I'm going to lose weight because I have this problem with food. I also tried to make New Year's resolutions about money because I have a problem with that too. My wife will tell you that. She's always worried about money and the way I use it. What about, being a better person, or what about have you ever made a New Year's resolution to be closer to God this year? Ever? Has any one of those New Year's resolutions involved Christ in any way, shape, or form? It didn't for me until last year. Which should be, if you're a preacher, you should always want to be closer to Christ. Always. Yeah, I should. That's the key word, should. We should always want to be closer to Christ. But we as humans like to take things into our own hands. You ever done that? You're waiting on an answer from the Lord, and you're tired of waiting, and I'm going to do it myself. And then you end up having to wait for Him to drag you out of whatever mess you got yourself into to begin with. I served on a resolution committee this past year for the association. And the first thing we resolved to do was to serve Christ. We resolved to serve Christ as individuals, as churches, and as an association. Granted, I didn't know what a resolution committee was until about 5 minutes before I had to get up and give the report. But of course, I volunteered to do it 5 minutes before I give the report. But we should always try to resolve to be closer to Christ. This is a New Year's resolution. This is a challenge for you, for me, for the person sitting next to you, for the person sitting in front of you, for the person running the sound booth back there, for Brother Deacon, for Brother Piano Player, whoever. This is a resolution and a challenge for every single one of us here. I can't be closer to Christ for you. I can't accept Christ for you, because we've all been in a situation, if I could accept Christ for that person, they would have accepted Christ a long time ago. We've all been there. We're going to be in Luke chapter 10. And we should always resolve to be closer to Christ. Because Romans clearly tells us that nothing can separate his love from us. So why should we let stuff separate him from us? Luke chapter 10, we're going to start in verse 25. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? He said unto them, What is written in the law, how readest thou? And he answering said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live. A lawyer was, at this point in time, would have been one of the foremost and frontrunners of the Bible scholars, right along with the scribes and the Pharisees. They would have known the Bible more so than any, probably more so than the average person back then. So he comes up to Jesus, trying to put him in a corner. You ever ask somebody a question you already knew the answer to, but you just wanted to see what they had to say? See how they put it? That's what the lawyer's doing here. He knew, or he should have known what the answer was going to be. But he asked Jesus, just like the Pharisees and the scribes. He was trying to corner Jesus and find a reason to crucify him. Jesus wasn't worried about being crucified because he knew that's what he had to do. But this lawyer come up, said, what do I got to do to inherit eternal life? Said, oh, this will get him. This will get him. Has to. This will get him. Jesus flipped the coin. Said, well, okay, what is written? What does the law say? What does the law say? And the lawyer answered, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy strength, and with all thy mind. With all thy mind. How many times do we come to church and think about how tired we are, how long-winded the preacher's getting, what we're having for lunch, what we're going to be doing after church, whether or not we're going to get our afternoon nap? I've been there too. Just Wednesday night, as a matter of fact, I was looking at my watch at church to see what time it was. I'm not going to lie, I looked at my watch this morning, as a matter of fact, while I was preaching to see, because I'm just like everybody here, I didn't want to miss breakfast. But, yeah, but how many times we can't focus on God if we're worried about us the entire service? With all thy heart. How can we love God with all our heart if we love our job, we love our car, we love our house, we love money? We can't love Christ with all our heart if we love stuff more than Him. With all our strength. How can we love the Lord our God with all our strength if we're out there doing the things the Lord would disapprove of? How many times do you hear about somebody sleeping in, going fishing because the weather's good? Just Saturday, not yesterday, but last Saturday, the roads were bad. The deacon called me and said, hey, are you going to be at church tomorrow? I said, you tell me. I don't. So how many times do we focus using our strength to do other things except serve God? Everything we do with everything we got, we're supposed to use it to bless God. With all our soul. How many of us say, Lord, Lord, and bless Him with our mouths and with our souls, but we really don't know Him? Think about it. We serve God with all our soul. We serve God, but we really don't know Him. I didn't realize this till yesterday. Everything I'm telling you, I've done myself. So don't worry about it. It's not me telling you you can't do this, you can't do that, because I struggle with it too. I'm tired every day. I'm hungry when it comes church time. I'm tired when it comes church time. I've been there. I struggle with it just like everybody else struggles with it. But guess what? I couldn't picture myself anywhere else but church. But you're a preacher. You're supposed to be at church. And I'm at church whether the doors are open. I can't. My wife will tell you, we're at singings on Saturday night, we're singing Friday night, we're on singing Monday night, wherever there's a singing, whether there's a church event, I try to be there. You know, because it's just kind of a little pick-me-up during the week. So we're supposed to love thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength. That's love the Lord thy God with everything we got. Everything we got. That's something that's easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. When I got married, I didn't know that was the love I had. She walked in the door, I started crying. Didn't stop crying till the next day, I don't think. I mean, she'll tell you that. I cried and I cried, I just could not stop. She gets up there, we're standing like this here, and she's looking at me. That was the love I didn't know I had to give. When my son was 4 years old, when I held him the first time, it's just a love deep inside of me I didn't even know I had. It's our first child together. We've been married about a year and a half. It's a love I did not know I could have. But it made me realize, number one, what kind of a Christian am I? Number two, what kind of husband am I? And number three, am I spiritually ready to be a father? Because obviously she's pregnant, I'm physically ready to have a baby, you know, but am I spiritually ready to have a baby? She found out December 27th of 2011, she was pregnant. My parents come over for Christmas dinner. She gets sick and goes to bed. I said, okay, she's not feeling good, she's going to go to bed. She finds out 2 days later, it turns out that not feeling good was pregnancy. She was morning sick. My heart is beating out here somewhere. You know, I am not spiritually ready to be a father. So I made a resolution then and there. Love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength. Because there wasn't no minor league baseball at this morning. I was in the big time here. So if he's going to bless me with a baby, I need to step up. So I made a resolution then and there. I'm going to put Jesus at the center, at the forefront. I'm going to put my blinders on and focus on Jesus. Which again is easier said than done. Because I still had to go to work. I still had to deal with mom and dad. I still had to deal with my sisters. And if you were here this morning, I told you about my sisters. But it's easier said than done. I work at Walmart. You ever been at Walmart? You ever watch the people at Walmart? They're rude. If you shop at Walmart, I'm sorry. It's just people who shop at Walmart, number one, I hope they don't drive their cars like they drive their shopping carts. Number two, they're rude. If you want to see the love of Christ, go watch a Walmart worker for about 5 minutes. You'll see the love of Christ. I say that because if we're rude to a customer, we need fight. So we got to be nice to them. But I'm saying that as a joke, but I'm saying that seriously. And the sad part is, those Walmart workers can show the love of Christ better than some Christians I know. Does that make any sense? It's sad. is sad. But when I found out she was pregnant, at that point in time, I decided I needed to man up. Put Jesus at the center, because from personal experience, this might help you, this might not, but from personal experience, I found out that if you put Jesus at the center of everything you do, you don't have to worry about bills, you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to worry about patience with people, you don't have to worry about gas in the tank. It's all covered. I really strongly believe my wife prayed for patience, and then about 2 days later she met me. I really strongly believe that. But the best thing is, you put him at the center of everything, it'll change your life. It will. Trust me, it'll change your life. You won't get fazed by anything. Will it be hard? Yeah. Because the devil will be up there knocking on your door trying to get you to do anything and everything that the Lord doesn't want you to do. He'll be having you think what's for lunch. He'll be having you think where you're going after church, what you're doing, what you're eating. It's not easy. But trust me, everything that we face here on earth, the Lord has already taken care of. The Lord did not eat for 40 days and 40 nights while he was praying right after he got baptized. So if you think we should worry about, I haven't eaten in 2 hours. I know I'm at church, but I'm real hungry. I'm real hungry. I haven't eaten in 2 hours. I'm hungry. Do you think he got tired while he was getting beat and while he was having to carry that cross? You think he got tired? But yet we can't stay up for 2 hours at church. But we can go watch a 3-hour movie. We're tired at church, but we can go home and jump, hoop, and holler at the TV because the football game is on. I say football because what, Super Bowl's coming up here, next month sometime? I don't watch football, so I don't know. I only watch football in college because I was in the marching band. That's the only reason why I watch football, to be honest. It's the only reason why I watch basketball. And that's the only reason why I could tell you anything about football or basketball, because I was in the marching band. But we seem to get focused on us and not Christ. If it's not Jesus, hang up. But here's that other thing. He loved us enough to die for Christ. He loved us enough to die for us. Just like my wedding vow said, I love her enough that I'm going to die for her. Jesus died for us. But how many of us would be willing to die for him? Think about it. How many of us would be willing to die for him? We can give Jesus all the lip service we want. But when it comes down to all the nuts and bolts, how far are we really willing to go? For me, I came about 90 miles. Most of you probably come about 2 blocks. But how far are we willing to go for Christ? We're to love our neighbor as ourselves. If you remember James and John, the sons of Zebedee, two of Jesus' disciples, they loved themselves. They wanted to sit at the right hand and the left hand of Jesus in the kingdom. They loved themselves. So I imagine that's why Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Because he had 2 of his disciples that thought they were better than everybody else. How many times do we think we're better than somebody? I mean, let's be honest. If somebody come in, big, raggedy beard, how many of you watch Duck Dynasty? If somebody come in looking like they come off of Duck Dynasty with raggedy old blue jeans, half a t-shirt, didn't smell too good, would they be welcome here? I can't answer that question for you. would you welcome them here? But the Bible says we are to love them whether or not they're welcome here or not. We're to love them, so they should be welcome here. After Jesus flipped the coin back on the lawyer tries to flip the coin back on Jesus. He's like, Jesus, who's thy neighbor? You said to love thy neighbor as myself, but who's thy neighbor? We'll pick up in verse 30. Certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, was stricken of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. So this man went down the Jericho road. It's a rough road. Imagine the road from Alto past the Hall Knob Cross. It's kind of, you can't go more than like 10 miles an hour on that road because it's like that. It's a rough road. This man, where people can kind of jump out at any point in time and beat you up, take everything you got, leave you for dead. So Jesus tells him a man fell down among thieves and was left for dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. The pastor walks by. The pastor walking down the road here, just sees this guy laying here. Said, oh, ain't that nice? Keeps going. The first guy you would think would stop and help this guy. The priest was in charge of all of the religious services, and he was in charge of leading the services at the temple or the tabernacle or the synagogue. He was in charge of leading services. And likewise, a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side. Levites were in charge of carrying the Ark of the Covenant, if you don't remember. This would be today's modern deacon. There's one difference between a deacon and a pastor. Pastor just walks by, sees it, walks by. The deacon walks up and says, ain't that nice? And then proceeds to go back to the other side of the road and keeps going. The deacon, second guy you thought would help. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. Who remembers anything about the relationship between the Jewish people and the Samaritans? We like to call that the Hatfields and McCoys. They just, for all intents and purposes, whatever reason, did not get along. Did not get along. Kind of like the two brothers who lived next door and didn't speak to each other for 40 years. Kind of like that. They just had nothing to do with each other, didn't get along. But he was the one that, for all intents and purposes, should not have helped. And you notice he's the one that did. Had compassion on him. Went to him, bound up his wounds, pouring oil and wine, and sent him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. So this Samaritan comes and cleans up this Jewish man, cleans him up, kind of puts like alcohol and peroxide on his wounds, and wraps him up, takes him to the motel, and says, here's some money, whatever this guy spends while I'm gone, I'll be back in a couple days and take care of it. Did you see the pastor and the deacon do that? No. That's the job description of a pastor, a deacon, and a church, or any Christian as a matter of fact, to have compassion. To have compassion. To have compassion. How many times do we show compassion on other people? I'm blessed with a great church family. Great. First time I ever remember having any kind of loving church family. And I've been saved for almost 10 years now. And this is the first time I remember ever having a church family that, number one, that got along, and number two, actually cared about the community. Because there's churches that say they care about the community, and there's churches that show they care about the community. Based on talking to people here, this church does a pretty good job of taking care of the community with the food pantry and helping people. And so I'm not saying this church don't take care of people, but it sounds, based on previous church experiences, there's churches that do. not take care of people. Now, Jesus asked him, said, which do you think was the neighbor? In verse 36, thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And if you see in verse 37, you'll see how much the Jewish people and the Samaritans do not get along. He said, he that showed mercy on him. He didn't even mention Samaritan. He said, the guy that showed mercy. The Jewish lawyer didn't even want to say Samaritan. Jesus said unto him, go and do thou likewise. Jesus tells us right there to show compassion to other people, to everybody outside these church doors. See, it tells us in the Great Commission that we should love other people enough that we should want them to have Jesus. I don't know about you, Jesus gives me a hope, and he gives me a joy, and he gives me a peace, and he gives me a mansion built in glory. And I don't want to keep that for myself. I want to give that to other people. I've seen a lot of Christians, they accept Christ and then want to keep it for themselves. Matthew chapter 28 tells us to go preach and teach to all nations. And he says, don't worry, because I am with you even to the end of the world. Always. Christ is with us. He is with us, and Romans chapter 8 tells us nothing can separate us from him. And nothing should separate us from his love, from our love for him, and our love for other people. Now, our neighbor might be the person sitting next to us, behind us, in front of us, the person who lives next door, the person you see at Walmart, at grocery shopping, the person you see buying gas. See, at this point in time, and when Jesus was telling them, the end of the world might have included about half of Europe, Spain, and Egypt. Maybe. So the end of the world wasn't too far. It may have included the Roman Empire. However far the Roman Empire expanded, it included the Roman Empire. That was the end of the world for them. But does that mean we got to go to Egypt? We got to go to Africa? We got to go to Spain? We got to go to Europe? No. We can start in our own communities. You go to somewhere like Carbondale, for example. When I went to school down there, there's people from Japan, there's people from China, there's people from Korea, there's people from Spain, there's people from Egypt, there's people from Saudi Arabia, there's people from all over the place down there. So you may not necessarily have to go to the end of the world, because they may come to us.